Hey, what is up guys? I'm Ironiq, back with another video. In this video, me and my girlfriend will be surviving 200 days in hardcore Minecraft. We have previously spent 100 days here, so if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend you go watch it, because if you don't, you might be a little confused. But hey, if you're too lazy to do, here's what we did in 100 days. We first defeated the Ender Dragon. We then got a full set of netherite tools and armor. And the last thing we did was defeat the Wither and collect its nether star. And with the nether star we got from defeating it, we made a full-size diamond beacon. Now that you're all caught up, here's what we want to accomplish in 200 days. First, we want to build a big wall around our base, and we then want to improve the base even more. We also want to make an Enderman farm for some easy XP. After that, we want to defeat 2 withers at the same time. We also want to defeat an ocean monument and also a raid. So yeah, we have a lot to do, so let's get straight into the 200 days. But wait, before we start the video, did you know that only 92% of people watching this video aren't subscribed? If you're part of that 92%, do me a favor, scroll down a little and hit that big red subscribe button. And if you don't, well, you aren't allowed to watch the rest of this video. Now that everyone is subscribed, hopefully, let's get into the 200 days. Day 101, we immediately headed to our oak trees and began cutting them down. By the time we had it all cut down and all the sapling placed, it was night. So we headed back home to sleep. What an eventful first day, am I right? Day 102, we began the start of our wall. We began the wall on the back portion of our base by the back tower and started marking it out with some oak logs. But we didn't want the wall to just be a boring square. We wanted a square with rounded edges, because let's be honest, that's much cooler. But this did cause some problems because neither of us could figure out a good curve. Day 103, we were still trying to figure out the curve of this stupid wall, and for some reason, we just could not figure this thing out. But thankfully, I've got a massive brain and ended up figuring it out all by myself. Malia was absolutely no help.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
We then had to move our beacon because it was in the way of our wall, but thankfully it was pretty easy to do. We then continued marking out the wall and building up the pillars. Day 104, we began making another curve on the wall. This curve was definitely a lot easier to make than the other one because we basically just had to mirror the one we already built. But since we are pretty dumb, it definitely took us a lot longer than it should have. When the curve was finished, it was now time to start clearing out this huge mountain in front of our base, because who the heck wants a big mountain blocking the view of their beautiful base? Day 105, we continued clearing out this mountain, and let's just say, thank goodness we have netherite tools, because if we didn't, this would have taken ages. Day 106, we headed to our oak tree farm and began cutting them all down once again. Once we were done, we immediately headed back to the base and began marking out more of the wall. Day 107, we began working on the other side of the wall. It was a bit annoying at first because this part of the wall was above water, and to make it even worse, we then had to make the curve again, but this time above water, which made it very difficult. Day 108, we figured out the curve and continued marking out the wall. We then also went to collect even more oak wood. The same day, we began working on the final curve. Day 109, we were still working on the final curve, and it took almost the whole day, but we finally finished it. We then had to figure out the entrance, which was a bit confusing, but eventually we figured it out. Day 110, we yet again headed to our oak wood farm to collect even more oak wood. Once we were done, we headed home and began placing the rest of the pillars. Day 111, we began figuring out the design for the wall, and it actually didn't take us too long to find a design that we actually liked. I then began placing the walkway on top of the wall. Meanwhile, Malia was probably doing nothing and letting me do all the work like always.
I built most of the wall, let's be real.
Day 112, I was still placing the walkway as well as placing sandstone walls on top of the pillars, because on top of them will be lanterns, which I also began placing. While doing so, I actually saw Malia doing some work for once. Finally. The rest of the day consisted of me continuing to build the top of the walkway of the wall. Day 113, I was still working on the top walkway, placing lots of oak slabs, some sandstone pillars, and lots of lanterns. After lots of block placing, I finally finished the top of the wall. While I was doing that, Malia ended up doing a ton of work to the inside wall. I'll have to admit, she did a pretty good job because it looked pretty dang good. but it was still missing some detail. So I began placing lots and lots of smooth stone stairs. Once I was done with that, I then continued our original design to the rest of the interior wall, which consisted of me placing lots of slabs and stairs. Day 114, I continued working on the design, and after lots of block placing later, the inside of the wall was finally done. And it looked pretty dang good if you ask me. While I was finishing the inside, Malia was busy working on the outside wall by getting the main part of it built. I then went around adding the details to it yet again, just like how I did it on the inside wall. Day 115, I was still adding the finishing details to the outside of the wall. We ran into some trouble when a bunch of phantoms spawned, but luckily they were pretty easy to take out. Just annoying. Who the heck put those things in the game? By the end of day 115, we finally finished the outside of the wall. And as I said before, it looked really good. Day 116, we cleared out our inventories of all the crap we had in it from building the wall. We then headed to the oak farm to collect lots and lots of oak wood. Once we were done, we immediately headed home to sleep. But before we slept, we took a look at the amazing wall we had just built. I think it turned out pretty dang cool. Day 117, we began the big task of destroying the rest of the mountain in front of our base. You may think this was very boring to do, and well, let me tell you, you're 100% right, because it was very, very, very boring. But it was kind of satisfying for the first 20 seconds. Day 118 was much of the same as we continued to destroy the mountain. Taking down this mountain was definitely going to take a few days of work. While taking out the mountain, I stopped for a second to place some chests outside the base, just so we could put all the sand and sandstone somewhere besides laying on the ground. Day 119, I enchanted a diamond shovel for Malia because her netherite one was about to break, and we had no real XP farm to repair it. We then went straight back to destroying the mountain. But while doing so, our tools got very low, so we headed to the nether to get some quartz for XP to repair our tools. This was the best way to get XP as we didn't have a good XP farm yet. Day 120, we were still in the nether collecting XP. We were also collecting ancient debris at the same time. Lots of quartz gathering later, we realized this wasn't really helping repair our tools as fast as we wanted it to, so we headed home. We smelted all of our ancient debris and ended up getting a total of 2 netherite ingots. Day 121, we continued to take out the mountain. I used a diamond pickaxe because my netherite one was about to break. After mining and digging for the whole rest of the day, all my tools were on the brink of breaking. And so were Malia's. We really needed an XP farm. So on day 122, that's exactly what we set out to do. We first gathered all of the stuff we would need for the XP farm and put it in some shulker boxes. And once we had everything we needed, we immediately headed to the end. Once we were in the end, I immediately tried to MLG water bucket and failed. It's a good thing I have feather falling, because otherwise it would have been over. The next thing I did was build all the way down to Y0, and this is a very scary thing to do, but I eventually did it. All by myself, by the way. Malia was nowhere to be seen, and that's probably a good thing, because she probably would have died. I really do be doing everything.
Okay. I built a house in the end. That's something.
I then had to bridge 200 blocks into the void with leaves. This was, again, very scary to do. One little mistake, and it was over. But I'm a big boy, and I got it done. The next thing I did was widen the path to make it 3 blocks long, because knowing Malia, she would probably fall off and die if I kept it 1 block. She's pretty clumsy. Day 123, I was finishing off the pathway. I then began building stairs up to the main island for easy access. While doing this, Malia was finally doing something useful by placing slabs everywhere so Endermen wouldn't spawn. While building a staircase, I ran out of leaves, so I headed back to the base to gather some more. I got home, grabbed some shears, and began collecting lots of leaves from our oak tree farm. Once all the shears were broken, I headed back to the end to continue building the staircase. Day 124, I was close to finishing the staircase until I yet again ran out of leaves, so I again headed back to the base. I arrived at the base and made some shears, and guess what? Malia came back with me to help. Finally. While we were back at the base, I decided to do some trading with the villagers to get an Unbreaking 3 book. I then put the Unbreaking 3 book on my shears and headed out to gather lots of leaves. Once my shears broke, we headed back to the end to finish off the staircase. Once the staircase was done, it was now time to build the Enderman farm. I used the same design I used in my solo 100 days series because it worked great in that one, so why not do the same in this one? Day 125, the Enderman farm was close to being done. One of the final things we needed to do was get an endermite in a minecart. This was very annoying to do, but I eventually got one and named it Hopper. Why Hopper? Well, I have no idea. You'll have to ask Malia.
A Bug's Life fans will understand.
We eventually got Hopper into the minecart and the farm was basically done. The final thing I needed to do was destroy the torches on the platform, and once I did that, the Endermen started spawning like crazy. And finally, the farm was done. It was now time to repair all of our tools. And of course, I went first because, I have been doing everything, so I think I deserved it. Day 126, all of my tools were fully repaired, and it was now Malia's turn. While Malia was repairing her stuff, I decided to add a roof onto the walkway. Once I finished the roof, Malia was done repairing all of her stuff, and together we added a railing on the side of the walkway so we couldn't fall off. Once we finished that, we headed home. Day 128, we continued the task of taking out the mountain in front of our base. By day 129, we finally finished destroying the mountain, but there was still a lot of work to do. We began terraforming around the base. After that, we started replacing the ground with sand because right now it kind of looks like a disease spreaded everywhere. Day 130, I started filling a giant thing of water by the inside of the wall. And this actually took a few days to fill in, but by day 133, the hole was filled. With basically no help from Malia, by the way. I really had to do everything around here. We took a fly around the base to see how it looked, and let me tell you, it looked pretty dang cool. Day 134, we did some more terraforming around the base. We also moved all the chests full of sand and sandstone closer to our base on day 135. Day 137, we started marking out the towers that we were going to build on the wall. On day 138, we began working on the design for the towers, and by the end of the day, we had a basic design of the towers done. We just needed to add some more detail to it to make it look even better. And that's exactly what we did on day 139. Once I was done adding some detail to the tower, I then moved on to start building the next tower, while Malia finished the first one. Day 140, Malia finished the final details of the first tower. And I know I say this a lot, but dang, it looked pretty good. Now that we had one tower fully done, it was pretty easy to copy and paste it to the other one. Day 141, we began work on the entrance. Lots and lots and lots of building later. On day 144, the entrance was complete, and it was looking so dang good. Just look at this entrance. Yeah, I'm a pretty good builder. If I just let Malia build it, it probably would have ended up looking like Shrek's swamp, and who would want to live there?
Who wouldn't?
Day 145, we began building even more towers. We wanted to build a total of 6 more. Yes, 6. That may seem like a lot, but trust me, it's going to look good. 1 tower, 2 tower, 3 tower, 4 tower, 5 tower, 6 tower. And just like that, on day 147, all the towers were done. And as I said it would, it looked so good. Our base was slowly but surely coming together. Day 148, we headed to the Enderman XP farm to repair all of our things. Once we were all done, we headed back to the base. I then enchanted a bow because I have no idea what happened to my other one. After that, I made some potions of fire resistance. Why, you may ask? Well, our next mission was to gather a total of 6 wither skeleton heads, so we could take on 2 withers at once. And on day 149, we headed to the nether to do so. I let Malia have the closest nether fortress because, let's be honest, I'm such a nice guy. But that did mean I had to go find a new one. But thank goodness I had an elytra and some rockets because I quickly found one. We then spent the next few days trying to collect wither skeleton heads. And after lots and lots of wither killing on day 152, I had a total of 2 wither skeleton heads, which was not enough. But Malia had a total of 4, so if you do the math, we had enough. So we both headed back home. Day 153, we began preparing to take on the withers. Once we were ready, we headed into the mines and began clearing out a spot to place the withers. And while doing so, we ended up finding some diamonds, which was pretty cool. We then began placing the withers. I placed the final heads on the withers and they began to spawn. Well, one of them did. The other one just decided not to. So we had to quickly defeat the first wither so we could spawn the second one. And once we had the second wither spawned, we quickly destroyed that one too. Yeah, withers are pretty easy. But now we had 2 extra nether stars. Day 155, we began working on another building. This building was going to be for making pumpkin pie and cake. and it was also going to have a floor for just breeding cows and chickens. A few days of working on the building later, on day 158, a majority of the outside was done. While Malia finished up the outside of the building, I began placing glass in all of the towers because for some reason we didn't do that when we built them. By day 160, I was done placing all the glass in the towers, and Malia was done with the outside of the food making building thingy. The building looked good, but something was missing. So I decided to add some cool looking windows to it, and I think it ended up looking pretty dang cool. We then put a sign on the building and named it the Food Factory. Now that the outside was done, it was now time to work on the inside. Day 161, we added water elevators to every floor. And while I did that, Malia worked on making the first floor into a lobby area. Day 162, I built a place where you could safely fall all the way down to the lobby from each floor. With the lobby done, it was now time to work on the second floor. This floor is going to be our pumpkin pie and cake factory. And the first thing we needed was an automatic pumpkin farm. So I built a very small one. But hey, at least it works. Day 164, I began making a small automatic sugarcane farm. And as I was building it, as you can see, Malia was watching me and giving me moral support. Isn't she so helpful?
I don't even know what was happening.
Once the sugarcane farm was built, it was now time to make a chicken egg collector, which is exactly what we did on day 165. The contraption itself was very easy to make. The hard part was getting these stupid chickens into this 1x1 hole. It may seem like a simple task to do, but I'm telling you, these stupid chickens get distracted by every little thing. It took way longer than it should have, but I finally got them in the hole. Day 166, we made a tiny little 2-layer wheat farm, which looked pretty cute. We also got a cow in here to milk. I don't know when the heck we did that, but hey, he's here. And I'm gonna name him Milker, because we milk him. Anyways, the second floor of the building was now done, and it was time to move on to the third floor, which was gonna be a place to breed cows and chickens. We call this floor the slaughterhouse. And on day 167, we began work on it. This was definitely easier to do than the last floor because all we really needed to do was place some dirt, some fences, and put the animals where they needed to be. It was pretty simple, and by day 168, the slaughterhouse was done, which meant the whole building was now done. But we had a lot more work on the base to do. So on day 169, we headed to our oak tree farm to gather more oak wood for our base. Once we were done, we headed back home to sleep. Day 170, we began working on yet another building. This building is going to be an exact copy of the one we just built, but instead of having a slaughterhouse and a cake factory in it, we are just going to put crops in this one. Since the outside of the building is exactly the same as the other one, I won't bore you guys with showing us building it. But while building it, I did a cool little thing by connecting the tops of the buildings with a bridge. And I think it turned out looking not too bad. By day 173, the outside of the building was done. It was now time to do the inside. We again started by building the water elevators up to each floor. We then started building our potato farm on the second floor, which was pretty simple to do. Day 175, the potato farm was done, and it was now time to move on to the top floor, which was going to be for our carrot and wheat farm. It was again very easy to build, because we didn't really do anything fancy. By day 177, the final part to do was the lobby, which Malia ended up building all by herself. They grow up so fast. The night of day 178, we set out to gather lots of gunpowder for rockets. Lots and lots of creeper killing later, I had a total of 48 gunpowder, and Malia had a total of 43. We then immediately headed home to make lots of rockets. Day 179, Malia and I both went very far away in different directions to go mining. We mined for almost 2 full days, then arrived back at the base on the night of day 180. Malia ended up showing me all she got from mining, and yeah, let's just say she got a lot more diamonds than I did. That's for sure. But she also did have Fortune 3, and I didn't, so I did get more iron than her though, just saying. Day 181, we both made fishing rods and enchanted them. We then went fishing for some puffer fish. Why would we need puffer fish? Well, our next mission was to take out an ocean monument, and we needed puffer fish to make potions of water breathing. And once we had 2 pufferfish, that's immediately what we did. While I was making us some potions, Malia set out to find an ocean monument. I also ended up making some potions of night vision so we could see better underwater. Once I was done making all the potions, Malia found an ocean monument, so I began heading to her on day 182. I quickly found her on an island near an ocean monument. I then gave her some potions and some golden apples. It was now time to take on the ocean monument. Once we got to it, I immediately mined into the top of it because I'm insane at this game and I know there's always an Elder Guardian at the top of the temple. Just saying. Once we were in, we quickly defeated the first Elder Guardian. 1 down, 2 to go. We swam around for a bit and quickly ended up finding the second one and quickly defeated it. 1 more to go. And like the others, we quickly found it and quickly defeated it. Next was to collect the gold and sponges in the temple. We found the gold blocks pretty quickly, but for the life of us, could not find a sponge room, so we gave up. We arrived back home on day 183. Our next big project was to expand the main part of our base. We first started by moving all of our sand and sandstone chests. We then went and gathered more oak wood. Day 184, we began marking out another big tower. I also may have been fishing Malia off the pillars while we did it. Day 185, we copied the design on the towers on our base to the towers we were building. By day 187, both of the big boy towers were built. The next thing to do was to connect them to the base. By day 189, both of the towers were connected. But while I was building the other side, Malia finished the front of the first one, and it looked pretty dang cool. Day 190, we ran out of terracotta, so I headed out to gather a lot more clay. While doing so, I found a pillager outpost. I ended up killing a lot of pillagers and got bad omen. I then headed home. And once I got home, a raid started. The first wave decided to immediately invade the inside of our base, which was kind of scary, but we dealt with it. The second wave was pretty easy to do. I just used my bow while Malia charged in with her sword. The third wave, they decided to try to flank us from the water, which was very stupid because it made it very easy for us because we just had to shoot them and they weren't very good swimmers. So the fourth wave, they got inside the wall, but we easily took them out. Wave 5 was definitely the hardest wave. Lots and lots of pillagers were on top of the wall, including some Ravengers. There were also lots of stupid little Vexes, which made it very annoying to fight. But with the Totem of Undying I got from the previous waves, I wasn't really worried about dying. Lots of fighting later, we ended up defeating the raid. Mostly because of me, let's be honest.
No, I helped too.
Day 192, I finished off the roof of our base extension. I then flew around to see how it was looking, and damn, I know I say this a lot, but I mean, it looks pretty dang good. Yeah, I mean, you have to admit. Day 193, the outside of the base extensions were done, and it was now time for the inside. We first started by building a staircase to our second floor where the villagers are. Day 194, we built a floor in one of the base extensions. This room was going to be our bedroom, because for the past, 150 days, we have been sleeping with the villagers. Yeah, that's not ideal. While Malia worked on the bedroom, I made a water elevator that takes you up to this patio area, which I thought was pretty cool. By day 196, the bedroom was done for the most part. It was just missing one thing. I went to get some clay, smelted it, and made some flower pots. I then gave them to Malia to finish off the bedroom. Because if you don't know her, she loves flower pots. And I'd say she did a pretty dang good job with this bedroom. Because it looked good. We then built another staircase up to the villagers, but this time it was on the opposite side, closer to the other base extension. Once we were done with that, we then added a floor to the other extension. I then moved the nether portal into that room. By day 197, all of the base extensions were finally done. The next thing we wanted to do was to tame some wolves, so we hopped on our horses and headed to the spruce forest. I searched around the forest, but I could not find one. Luckily, Malia found a pack of them and let me have one. I tamed mine and Malia tamed her too. We then headed back home. Once we got home, I grabbed a name tag and named mine the Big Bad Wolf. We then moved them to below our beds in this little library area. It was very cute. Malia also dyed the color of her dog's collars.
Their names are Chicken and Waffles, and they're so cute.
which was cool. I mean, I would have done the same, but the default color is red, and that's my color, so I guess I was just lucky. Day 198, we spent the whole day fishing at the back of our base. Day 199, we again spent the whole day chilling and fishing at the back of our base. And just like that, it was day 200. We did it. We survived a total of 200 days in hardcore Minecraft. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know how you guys think we did. And before you guys leave the video, do me a favor and go subscribe to both of Malia's channels. She's a trooper for putting up with me for 200 days in Minecraft. Hopefully she will be posting soon on those channels, and I'm pretty sure she will be, so stay tuned for those. I've also started a few more channels of my own, so if you could sub to those as well, that would mean a lot. In the comments below, tell me what you guys want to see Malia and I accomplish in 300 days. And yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Please don't talk about